When we created our x and y axis and the grid lines that appear with the y-axis, we directly referred to them from within the plot function. That does work and we can see them on our chart. But if we want to use this plot function again with different data, or for a different SVG element on the page, it's going to break. That's because we're referring directly to these variables. The best way to do this is to update the object that's being used for the arguments for this function. And at line 138, that object is here. It has the data property set, and we've been using it. So now I'll create a new line, and I'll add some new entries. After data, I'll type comma, axis, colon, open and close, curly brackets. And within that, I'll type x, colon, comma, y, colon. So for the x, I'll set the x-axis variable, and for the y, y-axis. Now, outside of this object, I'll type a comma and type grid lines, colon, and I'll pass in y grid lines. So now we're passing into this object the x and y axis via an object that has an x and y property. We're also sending in the y grid lines here just by setting grid lines. If we had x and y grid lines, we might want to do it the same as we did the axis, which is to create an object that has an x and y property. But we don't here, so we'll just use singular grid lines. Now let's go within the plot function, and we need to replace these direct references. So within the plot function, there's a direct reference to the y grid lines. Now that's at params.gridlines. Save that and head to the axes. So here at line 110, no longer will we refer to the x-axis directly, instead params.axis.x. And for the y, params.axis.y. Now the object creation is totally up to you. You could have created entries that were just x-axis and y-axis. For me, this makes a little more sense. Let's head to the page and refresh. And if we see no change, that's good. We shouldn't see a change because we're using the same data. Instead, we're using best practices to not have any direct references within our custom plot function. We're passing references through the parameters and then assigning them within. And with that, we have a flexible plot function that we can use time and time again with D3.